Today, we thought we would chat about things that go wrong.
I think for everyone listening, it is common that because there's often not a super structured way of doing chairs, you're still going to have chairs where you're like, you should be looking back and thinking, that was a terrible script.
This lady had a fused knee and she loved the chair. Now thinking back, but really, would I ever put her in that chair now? No, she needed elevating leg rest.
Yeah.
On the way out, I'll never forget, she goes, oh, let me just try it in my car. Dun, dun, dun. I said, oh my God, you never mentioned a car. I knew in my heart straight away, as soon as I saw the car, I thought, oh my God, with the seat lift on.
You guys want to know like a sentence that I use every time when I've done something wrong?
No.
A sentence that saves me a lot is, I feel terrible. Whenever I say, I feel terrible that we've pushed back the delivery, I find it just gets people to be like,
Yeah.
oh, we're all human and we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Let's just all
Yeah,
good
of
stuff.
course. And mistakes happen, right?
Mistakes happen.
And human error or traffic or whatever.
Put your hand up.
Just say I made a mistake. Hey, mate, I'm going to ask you something because we've been having a conversation while we've been having lunch. Right?
Tell me.
And you told me a little story and I need you to tell the listeners for sure. Okay, so things that have gone wrong doesn't always have to mean things go wrong with your equipment.
I can't believe you put it in.
I have. You know, you've spent 2 years trying to give this facade, but come on, let's tell us, right? Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're on episode 4 of
Wheel Chat.
There you go. Thanks for joining us again. Today, we thought we would chat about things that go wrong. So, listen, everything that we do, everything that we try and do is going to be the best, but it doesn't always work out.
No,
right?
Especially when you're new and you're just trying to work things out. And
I remember some of the stories for when I was new.
you would have done it because you were on your own. You started your own business. So you didn't have a
And look,
backup.
with the best of intentions, and you think you know what you're doing, and you do at that moment, and you get it wrong sometimes. And God, I remember there was just things like, I mean, even just off the top of my head, I was thinking like, there was a lady in Wales I once supplied a wheelchair to, and it was like an old Jazzy 3.
Keep in mind, just for anyone who doesn't know, what's a Jazzy 3?
Jazzy
Is
3.
that a non-tilt Captain C?
Captain C, very basic entry-level power chair.
Yep.
This lady had a fused knee and she loved the chair. And thankfully there was no, now thinking back, but really would I ever put her in that chair now? No, she needed elevating leg rest.
Yeah.
She seemed somehow kind of managed on like a central foot plate, like at the end of the foot plate, hanging her foot on the end of it, which she seemed perfectly happy with. I just think that makes me cringe now. I mean, it makes me cringe. I mean, these are the things, I must have only been working for a year in the business. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, so, I'm holding my hands up. Like I literally knew 6 months later, I thought, oh gosh. And I did actually, hand on heart, I'm not just saying this, I did call her back up and just say how things are. Are you okay? Yes, son. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But look, we all make it. So for things like that.
I think for everyone listening, it is common that because there's often not a super structured way of doing chairs. I mean, some countries are different. Maybe they have I think in New Zealand, they're pretty strict on you need to be levels before you can prescribe certain bits of equipment. But even with as much tailoring and structure as possible, you're still going to have chairs where you're like, you should be looking back and thinking, that was a terrible script. And not even terrible, it's just not even as optimal as what it could be.
Come on, man. I reckon I'll tell you something, right? I remember, so this was a bit of a disaster. And these are the things you learn on the job.
Yep.
So this client, I think it was in London. I've gone down, lovely day, lovely family. Lady was probably around about 65. She had, I think, just arthritic pain. So it wasn't anything posturally that was that challenging on the assessment. And I think we ended up going for maybe like an Invercare TDX or something.
Yeah. Mid-wheel drive power
Mid-wheel drive, power chair, seat lift, seat tilt, the full works. Probably, retail value, let's say around about 13,000, 14,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is what we're working out is about maybe 28.
Yeah.
So nice. Gone, done the assessment, spent 3 hours with the client as we always like to, checked it in every room. Everything perfect. Boxes ticked, prescription form filled out, OT happy, I'm happy. All good. Roll forward 5 weeks later, we go back to do the handover. Sit her in it. Oh, it's wonderful, great, yeah, brilliant. Oh, I'm like, this is it. Happy. On the way out, I'll never forget. She goes, oh, let me just try it in my car. Dun, dun, dun. I said, oh my God, you never mentioned a car. You never mentioned a car. And I looked at the OT and the OT looked at me and we went, because I knew in my heart straight away, as soon as I saw the car, I thought, oh my God, with the seat lift on, because if you, I don't know if the guys are aware, when you add that type of electrical feature, you're raising the seat to floor height.
Or like an inch or something on
Yeah,
the
but she was
CDX.
quite a tall lady, so she had a high back.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was just like praying that, like, sure
Just-
enough, gets in the ramp, going up the ramp, and head's about to be chopped off. It was,
Is that just to get in? So there's the cavity to
just
get
to
in?
get, sometimes like now, even when we are
Yeah.
trying, some clients will be like, no, I'm just going to tilt it back a little bit to get under the threshold. And then when you come out, until, the gap between the ceiling and
Should be enough.
is enough. But this is like just a smaller car all round, and
Yeah.
it was a new car. So she didn't have the car at the
At the
time of the
trial.
assembly, at the trial, which is why she never mentioned it. Now, at the time, I was like, did I ask the question? I'm not
No.
sure if I did. I couldn't put my name to it.
How
So
do you plan to transport this? Oh, what's your plan to move it? Yeah, these are things that you
Yeah.
don't think about to ask.
I'm sure
at
she
the
said
time.
taxis at the time, but I couldn't put my name to it, and I wasn't going to fall out over it. But
Yeah.
these are
That's
the
a hard
things
one.
that
That's a hard one to avoid. If they're already
Yeah.
taking taxis,
I had to suck it up, and
Yeah.
we made her a new chair,
Really?
a different chair.
what'd you get in the end? Do you
Oh
remember?
my gosh, I would have gone for something like, it would have had to have been lower.
Yeah.
So I genuinely can't remember, but I'm going to guess it would have probably been a Dietz or something like
You're a
that.
good. You're a
But
good
I don't
man.
know. I don't know if Dietz were out then, to be fair. So I'm lying on
Something
that
with-
one. It
something
was
with a
quite
lower-
a long time ago.
Something with a lower seat to fly.
So it wouldn't have been a Dietz, yeah.
Well, mate, you're a
Uh,
good man because honestly, I would say that not all companies would do that. They'd be like, well, the OT signed off on it, or the client signed off on it. This was trialed. It
Yeah.
wasn't brought up, and most companies would wash their hands, and they would almost have their right to do so because we tried a product.
Yeah.
We've done everything you've asked, and you brought in this new information that wasn't determined at the time, so we couldn't
Yeah.
advise you otherwise. But then I also understand
But
from
then
the client's
there's the
perspective.
human element.
Yeah,
right?
there's a client say like, how do I know what to? You don't know what questions to ask. It's hard to be like, well, you should have brought this up, but they don't even think,
Yeah.
like, you're the experts. You're the one who
Yeah.
should come with the questions. And there is a human element where it's like, well, what are you going to do now? You're going to tell this person either have be unsafe chair and drive like this, or sell their car. You can't do that either.
Like I have a phrase. We have a phrase. I often feel like the sale is the start of a relationship,
Yeah.
not the end.
Yeah.
And I think that like a lot of companies see the sale as the end.
Yeah.
Whereas that person's going to be with us for as long as they're using the wheelchair.
Yeah.
They hopefully might purchase something else from us.
Yeah.
But ultimately, irrespective of that, with that particular lady, I couldn't put my name to it.
Yeah.
That would, and what we're going to do at stalemate, poor lady's not going to be able to get in her vehicle.
Yeah.
We want her to be able to use a wheelchair. That's what we're in the business for. So I'm just, you're rolling around and thinking about it. I mean, you must have mismeasured.
I've
your
done
time.
eh,
the same thing. So I did a quickie. Client was in a quickie Iris, so tilt and space manual wheelchair. We were pretty much doing a like for like. I mean, we're fixing his seating, but the base wasn't going to change. But what we did trial on the day was the iExpress. Now, the iExpress is a power assist add-on. The iExpress actual hub sits about 3 or 4 inches behind the regular hub. So you got the regular wheels, and then you got the power wheels, which go in a separate socket. So we trialed it on the day, and it was great. They liked it. We said, yep, we'll script you a new chair with the power assist. We're doing the same chair, same width, same depth, all that. The only thing we're adding is the iExpress. Well, what I didn't think about until the delivery was we didn't trial it into the back of the car, and now it only just fit last time, and so now we've added an extra 4 inches onto the wheelbase. Chair didn't fit into the back of the car, so we were like, oh no, what are we going to do? And this is the situation where it's not really on them, but we've trialed it. Like, they didn't ask us to try.
Yeah.
I mean, that one probably is more on us. And but I was like, oh, what do we do now? Like, this is so embarrassing. We just bought this. They've had this chair for ages. I've just prescribed them a new chair, saying, we're the best company in the world, and here's this new seating, and sung our praises. And now your new chair doesn't even fit. You can't use it when you go out and about. And I was like, oh no. But my manager's awesome, and he's very technical. And so we went back out together, and we worked out you could actually change the wheel position on the Iris, so we could actually tuck the wheels in
Nice.
more, so the smaller wheelbase.
Nice.
Basically, it's what it was before. I was like, oh, thank God, because things like, if that wasn't, then what would happen then? Like, are we gonna take the chair back, strip the iExpress off it,
Yeah.
give them back their money for it, and we have this iExpress with like specific parts for it? Like, it'd be such a messy job, so expensive. And even if you did that, like, even if you did all that, the OT and the client, they're still disgruntled with you, because even if you've given them their money back, if you've resolved the problem, you've still taken the chair away. You've delayed the process. You've caused stress. You've gone back and forth with emails and doing that stuff. Just fixing the problem isn't enough, almost. And I was speaking about this a lot, like with business, like anything with business. So if you provide a service that is below standard and you rectify, say if you went to a restaurant and the food was terrible and it was late, it was all that stuff, and then you told the manager as you're leaving, oh, by the way, we didn't really like the food was cold, we didn't like it. If they said, oh, we'll give you your money back for your food, you're still not going to go back to that restaurant. And this is the tricky thing.
Oh, I don't know. I don't.
But if you had a bad, so staff were bad to you, it was late
Yeah, of
food.
course,
You're like,
if your
if
experience was-
I
yeah.
go back into that town, I'm not going to that restaurant again because it was,
Yeah.
even though I come back at 0,
Mm.
I'm still not at 0. I've still got
Yeah.
like this negative thing. So I think
Yeah.
as professionals, as business owners, going back to 0 isn't enough. And I
Yeah.
feel like you have to go a bit above and beyond. So if you've given them the money back, like even with yours, I mean, your client would probably use you forever because you've replaced the entire chair. But if it was more like a big act of negligence, like if we were
Yeah.
late to the appointment and all
Yeah,
this
of
stuff,
course. And mistakes happen, right?
mistakes happen.
And human error or traffic or whatever.
But just fixing the mistake, I don't think is even enough. I think you have to go, if you really want to, like what you said at
Yeah.
the start of the relationship, if you want them to come back to you, fixing the relationship just makes them not mad at you, but it doesn't have a positive impact on their perception of you. So you sort of have to go above and beyond, which is what I've always done whenever I've made mistakes, is try to always go like a follow-up call or check in, or like go above and beyond, get to where like what you'd normally do, just so you maintain that that business relationship.
I agree. I think, but I also think that honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
And
Put your hand up.
Just say I made a mistake, because
Yeah.
people make mistakes. And I think far too often natural go-to behavior is, oh, I'll wing it or I'll lie, not intentionally, but you'll say that. And actually the truth always comes out. So just be honest with someone and say, look, I actually have messed up here,
Yeah.
And I think most people, not everyone, of course, we know we have problem clients and that happens. But most people in the main are pretty understanding of that.
You guys want to know like a sentence that I use every time when I've done something wrong?
No.
A sentence that saves me a lot is, I feel terrible. And I find that, I don't know why, this is like, when you apologize for something, it's like, oh, the chair's late. If say I've ordered something wrong, right? And the backrest doesn't mount onto the chair for whatever reason. Hey, I'm really sorry the backrest is late. I'm so sorry for the delay, blah, blah, blah. That's to be like, but when you say like, I don't know why, I just feel like when someone says to you, I feel so terrible, I know how long you've been waiting, it's almost like when you hear that, when you hear that from someone, like if you mess me up, I'd be like, dude, I feel so terrible. And if you're really outraged, if you're really telling me why, I would be upset.
Listen, man, I'd be like, you should feel bad.
You should be sorry. But like whenever I say I feel terrible that we've pushed back the delivery, I find it just gets people to be like, oh, we're all human and we all make mistakes. And I appreciate you doing your best to get it resolved.
Because I think in the main, everyone's pretty good people. Like we deal with really, really good people. Unfortunately, the other ones just let us down.
The other ones exist everywhere.
But,
whether you're a wheelchair user or not, there's people all over that a range of personalities.
Hey mate, I'm going to ask you something, because we've been having a conversation where we've been having lunch.
Right?
Tell
me.
And you told me a little story, and I need you to tell the listeners for sure. Okay, so things that have gone wrong doesn't always have to mean things go wrong with your equipment.
Can't believe you put it.
I have. You've spent 2 years trying to give this facade, but come on, let's tell us, right?
Okay.
So
before I met my lovely wife, Emma, I was at an appointment, and it's the first time I've worked with this particular OT. She's never met me before, and she's used our company for a trial. I've gone out and I've done a really good trial, and then a question's come up, and I've said, let me check my phone. And as I've gone to pull out my phone and check my phone, I was also in a new town I hadn't been to before. Anyways, I was out the night before. I pulled out my phone. A form of protection had just dropped on the ground, and it was like this silence consumed all of us. It just dropped on the ground. I was like, I don't know what to do right now. And the square thing was just sitting on the ground.
let's put it
small
in
little square
context.
plastic
Okay,
bag.
we all
And
know what it
I was
is.
just like, and I was talking, and I'm just like putting it back in, and I'm like, maintain professionalism.
Did you go red, you reckon?
Oh, dude, I was like a
Yeah.
blur. Everything was noisy in the background. It was just.
Did you have a nice OT? Did she reckon?
She didn't.
Because I've been winding you up.
She didn't say a word. She just like was just like, we all just acknowledged it, and I was just like, I'm sorry. I didn't say sorry. I was just like, I just kept on playing it cool, and she didn't bring it up, and I'm so grateful for it. And I was supposed to go out of the appointment. It's like you get in the van, and you just like,
Oh, did you get the sale?
we did. The trial was successful. However, it was a while ago. I can't remember if I even saw the OT again.
I would hope it's a while ago.
It was definitely a while ago.
Yeah.
And so word to the wise: check your pockets. Make sure you maintain professionalism
Yeah.
in front of clients.
listen, we're all going to have these stories, right? And actually, I'm genuinely really want to listen to everyone's stories because I think it's just, listen, life's too serious, actually, isn't it? And it'd be good to get, so if anyone wants to send us in some funny stories, you know, we can always just censor them if we need to. I've got some great ones. Yeah, like, let me think. So I had a story. I was supply. This is not the best of stories, but let's just go with it. So we had a customer, and he, let's say, had toileting issues, and he was a known customer for this. So what happened was I was traveling at the time. I was down Bristol way doing a lot of deliveries. I went out to do an assessment for this gentleman, and it was very random from the minute that I walked in the house. So nowadays, I think I probably would have walked back out, but it was in an infancy year. I was probably in year 2 of working. So I have gone in, and just from the vibe that as soon as I went in, he was a man of means, and he had censored pictures on the wall, let's say, of different females and things like that. So I was like already a little bit like, okay, and this is interesting. So I was like, how's things? Anyway, lovely guy, really nice. Went and did a few different trials of different wheelchairs, but there was a particular one he had his heart set on, a Q, a Jazzy. What would it have been? Oh, back then. Probably it could have even been similar to that lady.
Jazzy 3.
Jazzy 3, yeah, because they were really in their own, they were really in their own sort of area at that time. We're going back 18 years, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's gone. So he's got in the wheelchair. He's loved it. And he said to me, right, I want it. And I've said, no, we normally do a quote and then we'll come and deliver it. He's like, no, I want this one. This is it. This is the one. I was like, oh, okay, right. So I was like, okay, well, if you want it, then I suppose, you can have it. Everything was fine, everything. And so he's gone, right. And I said, well, okay, so you're ready to pay? And he went, well, I can't actually pay because it was past 5 o'clock and he wanted to pay over the phone. I was like, right, so how do you want to pay? He goes, well, no, it was about 4 o'clock. I tell a lie. And I think at that time there was only 2 other people. It was Chloe and one other person, and the office was busy. It wasn't phoning. Phone was ringing or whatever. So he said, look, I could go to the bank if you want. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. This feel a bit uneasy about this. He was like, no, it's fine. Look, it's not that far. It's maybe like 15 minutes down the road if you're willing to take me, because you can't get a taxi to here. I'm like, right, okay, fine. So chase along like another 10 minutes. I'm like, right, well, how are we going to, so we get out to the van and I'm like ready to do a transfer. And I said, you know, it's a higher seat to get into the van because he's obviously down there. He's like, I can do it. I'm like, right.
He's semi-mobile.
Well, yeah, it's like a pivot transfer at best. Again, I'm holding my hands up. I was like at very early stages at that point. But I said, okay, well, let's try. Anyway, he's gone to try and it's not happening. So I said, look, sit back down. It's fine. Look, I said, look, let's go back in. He goes, no, I want to go. I'm like, right, well, how would it? He goes, well, look, if you open up the side door of your van, I could just side transfer over into the van.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
sure.
Let's go for it. I'm not thinking. I'm not really processing.
Meanwhile,
I'm kind of being led.
Ushering this wheelchair user to take it to the bank, take one some cash for money.
This is what I was saying. This sounds terrible, and it is terrible. But
it's not terrible. You're trying to find a solution.
I
get how it can look suspicious.
Yeah. I'm anyway. He's gone to side transfer, and as he side transferred out of the wheelchair into the van, he's left what can only be described as a human deposit, let's say, human deposit. At that point, as he's turning, because he's transferring into the side of the van, I've looked down, seen the human deposit. The smell then, because the vision then hits you with the smell. I'm like, and he's like, all right, son, I'm in. I'm like, oh my God. So as he's done that,
getting poo on your fingers.
And I'm not processing the fact that what we actually going to do? Is he going to be sat in the back of my van, rattling around the back? I haven't thought that far ahead at that point. All I've now...
I love that you started questioning once there was poo in your car. You're like, oh, is this the right idea? Oh my God.
So and then I've looked, and unfortunately for him, he's left a trail going into the van. So at that point, I said, look, I'm really...
On second thought, mate, I'm
sorry. I'm going to need to help you out, and we'll get into the wheelchair. I said, well, I promise you, we'll sort a new chair. We'll sort it. It's not a problem. Fortunately, I think he must have realized that the situation wasn't going to work, because I didn't even, at that point, I had then said, look, you can't sit in the back of the van while we're driving. I don't know what I was thinking, but like you say.
Was it the back of the,
yeah.
when you say back of the van, it's like car seats in the back of the van?
No, there's not van. I'm putting the wheelchairs in the back of the van.
Wait, so what was he transferring?
Okay,
on
back
the
for
floor?
making the story exciting.
Wait, no. What was it? What was in the back of the van? Is it seats?
Other chairs.
Other wheelchairs.
Other wheelchairs.
And this whole time I thought he was like, like these like 3-seaters. No, he's just gone straight into so like on the floor, just sitting there.
He's on the floor. He's on the floor. His feet are actually hanging out the side.
What are you going to tell you?
That still drives better, isn't it?
Gonna get some ratchet straps.
My God, yeah, just travel.
What was the plan?
There was no plan. This is the thing with me. There is no plan. You got to what is it? So anyway, I've clearly woken up.
You're both on board with the process.
Well, they're both really excited.
18 years ago, this is like when you probably seatbelts were legal at this point, were they?
Oh, you could do anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like when I was a kid, we used to run around the back of my dad's van as like a joke.
Oh my God. Anyway, yeah. So needless to say, the short of the story is we came back in and I said to him, look, he really didn't want to give up this chair. Genuinely had no heart. He didn't want to give up the chair.
Did he want to buy the chair because he realized what had happened?
What you mean? He stated it. He asked me for discount.
Do you reckon he like what happened and he was like, oh, I got to buy this chair now, and that's why he was so desperate?
No. Because he was so committed. He was really excited.
Yeah.
And bless him, I think his carers came in. Anyway, I just said to him, look, we were both getting excited. We haven't really thought about it. I'll tell you what, I'll stay because I couldn't leave the chair. I couldn't leave the chair essentially with him because he didn't own it or anything. So I said
he kind of does now. I mean,
yeah,
he's kind of marked his territory.
Yeah. So I said, look, I'll stay overnight, and then tomorrow I'll come back when you've got a carer there, and we'll sort it, and I'm sure we'll get it sorted.
You're a good man.
And that's what happened. Yeah, I'm a great man. Oh my gosh. So look, I'm holding my hands up. These are the things that you learn, and that was a very quick learning curve. And one of the things I learned, joking aside, was always have covering on your van. No. No, joking aside is just look. I learned that you can't do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, and essentially, transfers then became part of a thing I needed to learn about. Right, and essentially. What is the best way to try transfer?
Should you be transferring someone we don't know them properly?
Exactly. All these things.
There's definitely, all those things can definitely happen. You're not sure how someone transfers. When a client says they can do something, but you're not sure, and then if they fall over, what happens then?
Yeah.
And it's hard to even advise them what to do. Like when a client says I can do something and you don't think it's right, you're like, who are you to say?
Yeah.
Then you've also got to be like, I don't think that's safe.
Yeah.
And mate,
so we have a rule now, like, we need to, if they have carers or assisted, then they'll do the transfer. We don't get involved in that, and we never will now, and that wasn't from that particular thing, but clearly, we learn, and we've got some really good professionals working. Led by me.
I can tell you've definitely had a shit day that day.
Hey, it wasn't the best.
I've definitely got some poo stories, but maybe I'll save it for another podcast and we can do more.
Poos days?
Poos days. Poos day?
Yeah. We'll do it.
Every Poos day we'll have people come in and give their poo stories.
Yeah.
Poo stories is just funny because we all do it. There's nothing shameful about doing a poo.
No.
But they're always just such funny things. I don't know what it is.
I think everyone loves it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure I'd love to we should get that guy on the pod and be like, do you remember that day? I'm sure we'll laugh about it now.
Because that when people are transferring, and their bowels start moving, because that's one of the benefits of transferring, right? Like the benefit of moving and changing position is that you have
some bowel movements.
Yeah, standing.
Yeah.
And some of the noises that people can
make when they're going up. Yeah.
The comical.
So I think that would be fun if we could find that guy from 18 years ago. See who wants to get on. Because I think at the time it's so mortifying. I'm sure at the time he would be like, oh my God, this is such an embarrassing story.
No,
but then at the end it's like,
he was great.
Yeah.
He didn't have any I think, and we didn't, the weird thing was it was not acknowledged.
Yeah. The whole time, he just the smell was there, the poo was there. He maintained.
He maintained. He was straight, and I wasn't going to, pull him away from that thought process.
Yeah,
you're not taking somebody's dignity away.
Yeah, true. Just get on with it. It happens. We all poop. We all go through.
It's a human thing.
We all poop. We all sometimes use protection. These all things.
Yeah. Fortunately, just for the record, I make a lot of better decisions than I do.
Yeah.
And I certainly have won't be making those decisions and haven't done for some time. But it's just to reiterate, when you are starting out and learning, and these are the things that we do need to, improve on, all of us, is understanding situations. And I suppose through making mistakes, you learn and you move on.
Yeah. It's okay to make mistakes. Don't make them twice, though. That's the thing. Like, if you're doing them once, like, this is where you want to learn from what you've done.
And actually having a therapist now, we really very, very rarely will do an assessment without a therapist assisting. So I would definitely recommend, having a professional, which is, as a company, that's like a thing that
because they know the person, they know them in more detail. You're seeing it for the first time. They have a better understanding. They've got maybe a different set of clinical knowledge than yourself. So
100%.
having clinical expertise is very important. Well, I like story time. I think we should probably like open or even finish our pods with a bit of a story of the week.
Story of the week.
Or Pooh's Days.
Yeah. Have you got any other stories you want to share? Because it seems to be that he's just still perfect.
I've got one. As you were talking, I thought of another one that happened.
Go on.
It was not so much an embarrassing story, more just like a product like situation story.
Okay.
Where I remember I did a trial for an Edge HD, which is a power wheelchair for bariatric clients. And the trial did well, and then the client had edema, and she said that she needed to elevate her legs. And her current chair had it. I think she was in an Autobox chair at the time, and that had elevated leg rest. And we trialed a Permobil and a Quantum, and the Permobil trial chair had elevated leg rest, but the Quantum one didn't. So we trialed the elevated leg rest. I'm like, yep, cool, we like it. But we ended up on the Quantum for whatever reason. And then we'll order it with power elevated leg rest, because that's what we want. We know we want it, so let's do it. Well, at the time, and they've fixed it now, but their power elevated leg rest for Quantum, they weren't great. They sort of elevate. So when you elevate your legs, your leg actually gets longer.
Yeah,
right?
so you need articulated.
Yeah, so you got your shortened muscle, and now your muscle's longer. So it does need to articulate, because if it didn't, if you just had this length, your knees would be like that. So the legs have to actually get longer.
Yeah.
But what happened with the Quantum one, it articulated a little bit, but it wouldn't articulate until it got to here, and then the like articulation would happen.
Yeah.
So as she was articulating her legs, this is a brand new chair, very expensive. She was like, "Oh," I'm like, "What's up?" She's like, "I can't." I push it out more, and I'm like, "I can't. We kind of have to keep going before it articulates."
Yes.
Like, and I was like, "All right, let's just keep going a bit." And it's like, and then eventually it'll be here, and then it would like push out, and I was like, she's like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I can't remember what we did. I don't know if she even just like got on with it or something, but it was so like, that can sting you, because with a trial chair is never exactly, a final chair is never what your final chair would be. So it can be quite tricky when you're working with scripted mobility and your trial chair isn't exactly what you produce. But these are things that can happen. So if you're scripting elevated leg rest, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you actually use it.
So even if the great man can make mistakes, then we can all make mistakes.
I've made plenty. I'll write a list of them, and we'll send it off with Justin's mistakes. That was actually a lot of fun. I enjoy telling stories. I enjoy hearing stories. So I hope you guys do as well. Anthony?
Yeah, send in anything you've got. Well, I'd love to share some more stories. Maybe you can just sort of make mine sound a bit better.
We would love to actually, if you want to like write one in and just send it, and we can like read it. That would be funny.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do some read. We've all got a Pooh story here or there. So
okay,
let's hear them out.
Click,
follow, and subscribe.
There you go.
Follow and subscribe. Send in all the stuff that you want us to chat about, and obviously your Pooh's Day stories. And we will absolutely see you on the next one. We will chat to you.
We'll chat soon.
We'll chat soon.
Yes, we'll chat soon. Cheers, guys.
See ya.